Hey everyone, it's Alan Brochstein coming to you from Houston, Texas on Saturday, November 5th, in front of a big week. I work at New Cannabis Ventures and 420 Investor, and each week I talk to you about what's going on in my favorite part of the market, cannabis stocks. And like I said, this is a big week. Why? Well, we have the elections and we have earnings season. So I'm really excited. I know this has been a really bad year. In case you missed it, I did write on Seeking Alpha for the first time in about a year and an article about why I think investors are going to warm up to cannabis stocks again. I certainly believe this, and I certainly hope that it's true. The action this week in terms of the broad market, we had data out of Illinois, and Illinois does a good job. They're the first ones that put out data for a given month, and they gave us October data on November, I think it was 2nd, maybe the 3rd, and I wrote it up at New Cannabis Ventures if you want it, but I also shared it with my subscribers at 420 Investor, and it was kind of boring. The Illinois data for October, it showed a little bit of an advance over September, but less so than the number of days. Remember, October has one extra day. That's 3.3% more days. And we grew smaller than that. In fact, compared to a year ago, we were only about, combined on the medical and adult use, we were only up about, I think, 3%. 3.1% to be precise. Now, the other data that I got this week, and we wrote about it at New Cannabis Ventures as well, was the BDSA data for not October, but for September. And wow, is this bad. It wasn't worse, it's just not good, and it remains not good. What we're seeing is that only Florida is really growing, and I've been tracking that one really closely and sharing with my subscribers what's really going on in Florida in my view, but the growth there was strong from a year ago and sequential, and it is slower than it's been, but it's still really good. And other states, especially the more mature states in the West, showed not only year-over-year declines, which stinks, but also sequential declines, which it's not that surprising given what's going on. And so you can read that article in New Cannabis Ventures if you care about all that data. I did publish 5 different written pieces of research for my subscribers at 420 Investor during the week. So every Friday I publish 3, and I obviously published those a week ago. And so what I'm talking about over the last week is the week ends at 4 o'clock Eastern time on Friday. So I did publish from October 28th the 3 pieces that I always publish on Wednesday. The weekly review, which I have a link in the summary to this if you want to click on it, and you can sign up to get that emailed to you every Friday. And also the model portfolio composition, where I talk about how 2 of my long-term model portfolios look compared to the index by subsector. And then finally, I do a subsector review every Friday where I show a chart. And I think the last 4 or 5 Fridays, it's always been from September 30th. That's the low. And it's interesting because it's changing around. But I got those 3 out. I also published the newsletter, the monthly newsletter. And I published that right on the 31st as the month ended. And finally, as I always do now, I publish previews for the quarterly reports for Kronos, which reports this coming Monday, as well as GTI, IIPR, and Scott's Miracle-Gro, which reported last week. So when it comes to the focus list, which has 32 names on it that I always update my subscribers on any news, and I also stay on top of these companies, there was a lot of news this week, but most of it wasn't really important. But let me just share with you, I'm working off of this week's weekly review, and so it's all there. And I do have a link to this week's in the written summary of this video. So the first was Ascend. This is not important in my view. They launched Miss Grass products in New Jersey. The second one is Air. Also not important really. They opened 2 new stores in Florida, which that's important, but 2 more not that important. And they also announced the availability of Levia in that state. Now this was really big, and the spread on Columbia Care to Cresco narrowed a little bit. It's still really wide, but when they announced that merger, they said that there were going to be dispositions, but they hadn't announced any yet. Well, that's different now. They did a deal, Cresco and Columbia Care did a deal in 3 states selling assets to Sean Combs for $185 million, and this paves the way for that deal to close, in my opinion. And that was the same news for Cresco too, and the only news. Cureleaf opened, also not important. They opened the Bordentown, New Jersey dispensary, which was medical only, to adult use. It's their 3rd. Green Lane closed their recent capital raise, not surprising. And they also announced an agreement with Leaf Trade, who we've interviewed at least once, I think twice, at New Cannabis Ventures. And it's to help promote their B2B branded products. GTI had a great report, and I say great, it was just better than expected. The numbers weren't that great. They grew 12% year over year. That's not exciting, but it was better than expected. And the next one is IIPR. They reported 32% growth year over year. And I know people have been really worried about IIPR. The stock filled the gap and extended through that. It's been doing really well. And the next one is, sorry, my phone was ringing. Jushi, which had a good week. They relocated in Scranton, Pennsylvania, their dispensary. Lowell appointed 2 new independent directors. Planet 13 announced that they're going to open their Illinois dispensary. People have been asking, I've been wondering, where's it going to be? And I thought it was going to be in Chicago. No. And this might be better, actually. I'm not sure. But it's going to be up near Waukegan, where I've been. I know people from Waukegan, near the Michigan border. Wisconsin border, sorry. And I think it sets it up for, I think there's some tourism near there and out-of-state stuff. I think it's not bad. So that was their news, but I wouldn't get too excited about that quite yet. Scott's Miracle-Gro bounced really hard. Full confession, I bought before and I bought after. And so in my model portfolios, I don't buy cannabis stocks in reality. urban-gro, and so their report showed that Hawthorne gardening grew sequentially in Q4, and I thought that was a good sign. urban-gro closed their recent acquisition for $6.1 million, a Texas, it was called DVO Engineering, a design firm. And then Verano, also not important, launched Bits. It's a new low-dose edible. So that was it for the news. Let's talk about the market. Wow, was it a good week? Wow, is it a good month? So again, I was a little bit wrong. I got all excited when I wasn't doing so well in the hospital. I mean, I was getting better, but my brain was not 100%. But I looked up I looked down at the prices, and I was like, oh my God, what a bargain. And I started to write about it at New Cannabis Ventures, and we were really optimistic about the second half. And in July, my model portfolios performed very well at 420 Investor. They were up, all of them were up about 20% or more, way more than the market. And then in August, they advanced a little bit, while the market pulled back a little bit. But September, ouch. And so September was just disgusting. And we moved to a new low. And it really has me a little bit nervous now and going forward. And I mentioned this in that Seeking Alpha article. If the big bad bear keeps biting in the stock market, it's going to be a headwind for us. I don't know that cannabis stocks are going to go down necessarily. They're really cheap and beaten up. But it's going to be hard for the cannabis sector to continue to rally, I think, if the bear market. Now, you tell me, is the bear market over or not? I'm betting it is, but I'm not sure. So this week, the global cannabis stock index rallied 1.4%. And that was better than the S&P 500, which lost 3.2%. I can just stop there. Again, we were up on the global cannabis stock index and the S&P 500 fell. But if the S&P 500 keeps falling, I think it's going to be a problem. I will say that. I've been talking to my subscribers about that. And I'm really long, not as long as I was, but I am pretty long in my personal trading portfolio. That's not cannabis stocks. I'm very short energy stocks. Is a hedge, but I'm net long. So that's the action for the week. And quarter to date now, from the very low ever on the global cannabis stock index, we have lifted, let's see if I can find that, 10% on the global cannabis stock index, 10% from 1126 to 1272, I think. Is that right? Is that 10%? I'm not sure that that's right, but the S&P 500 is down. It's down in November. It's actually up 5.4% since September 30th. So, for any of you math whizzes out there, I used to be one. No, I still am. 5.4% times 2 is 10.8, and we're not up double, but we are up 10%. That is close to being double the S&P 500. And you tell me, I don't know. I wish I didn't know, but I'm thinking the S&P 500 is going to do better. And I'm thinking, you can read my piece in Seeking Alpha if you want to know more. I'm thinking that we're going to do better. I didn't put numbers out there, but I did talk about why we're going to do better. So that was the market this week. And I run 3 model portfolios at 420 Investor. The first one is swing trading, and that's called Flying High. I've been doing it, I don't know, forever, since I started Flying High in 2013, which is a long time. And I'll start with the best part right now, which is it was funded with $10,000, and it closed at $164,000, almost $165,000. That's up 1,549%, 1,549% in 9+ years. That's pretty good. And the market's kind of weird. Back then, it was very volatile and the names weren't so great. These days, it's less volatile, but it's still volatile. And there are some really good names now. So I wouldn't want anybody to start following this and say, give me another 1,500% over the next 9 years. I'm not going to say I'm going to do that. I hope I do, but I wouldn't expect that. That was pretty outsized. But year to date, it's really bad that I'm down 44%. Why is that bad? Well, for some of you, you may think it's good because the overall market is down 61.3%, and I'm better than that. But no, I'm trying to beat cash. And so 44% loss is not beating cash. I'm a little bit embarrassed. Last year, I beat the market and I was up in 2021, I'm sorry. And this year, I'm down big. And I was up last year and the market was down. That was pretty good. This year, the market's down a ton and I'm down less. not so good. It's better than being down more. But anyway, I also run 2 model portfolios that are almost always fully invested. I don't try to market time there. I am able to at certain points in time, but only to a limited amount. But we're talking about the names of the 2 model portfolios are 420 Opportunity, which I launched in early 14, and 420 Quality, which I launched in March of 2017. And 420 Opportunity, they're pretty similar. They're a little bit different, but now they're pretty much the exact same right now. They're not always the exact same. And 420 Opportunity was down 0.1% this week, so a little bit of a lag versus the market. But month to date, quarter to date, let's see if I can find that. Well, let me just tell you, since I launched it with $50,000 in 2014, it's down 17% roughly, which is kind of scary, right? At it for 8+ years and down a lot of money. But guess what? The index is down 98%. So I'm down a little bit, and the index is totally imploded since then. Remember, that was after Colorado legalized and the market was up. So that's 420 Opportunity. Let's see if I can find. Yeah, I have a typo. I see now. I don't think I have the quarter to date number on there. The other one is called 420 Quality, and it is up now, up since March of 17. By 15%. And the index is down by 75%. Now, I can sit here and tell you how smart I am, but that is how I can show you how smart I am. This is a well-run model portfolio that's up 15% since March of 2017, when the index is down 75%. Boom. And it's down 5% in November, so a little bit more than the market. But it's up 14.4% in Q4, so October, and now including the loss in November. It's up 14.4%. And so just like Q3, off to a great start. And the index is only up 10%. So I am winning now. I've won over the long term. All right, the last piece, and I'm not going to go over all these, but if you care, which you should care, I do care, there are a lot of companies reporting this week, and we are in earnings season. And if you read my piece, I don't know that I talked about this so much, but I think that, I'm just telling you, I don't know if I put this in there or not. I think that there's not going to be anything out of earnings season like the GTI surprise was a counterexample. It's going to make people like, whoa, I got to buy right now. No, it's not a buy right now situation. But I think that given how depressed the market is this year, this moment still, and the passage of a good earnings season, or not bad earnings season, there are people on the sideline that could come back into the market, not necessarily day one, but before the end of the year or early 2023. If you want to be an investor in cannabis stocks, you should be paying attention. So that's really it. Have a nice week and take care. Good luck with the elections. Bye.